You're watching National EMTV News. The Samaritan Aviation, a non-profit Christian organization that has been serving in the East Sepik Province for the last 14 years with emergency evacuation and delivery of medical supplies, has now stepped in to provide disaster relief following the recent flood and earthquake in the province. This was stated by the co-founder and the Chief Executive Officer of Samaritan Aviation, Kirsten Palm, this morning.
With the recent natural disaster in East Sepik Province, Samaritan Aviation has stepped in to fly patients that were affected by the earthquake and flood. This non-profit Christian organization uses airplane to land both on land and on water to serve the people in remote areas of the province.
Then we also work with disaster relief, where we're working even recently with the flooding that's happening in the Sepik right now. They've had the most flooding they've had in over 20 years this year. And so responding to people, doing flood assessments with the government. Last week, Governor Bird went out with us to do a flood assessment. And then also we even had earthquakes in the last couple weeks on the Sepik. And so flying in patients that are injured from the houses falling down.
Mr. Palm shared an anecdote of his experience when piloting a pregnant mother on board his plane.
Third flight for this young lady. The first flight we did with her was back in 2016, her first baby, and she actually lost the first baby. But we were able to save her life. And then 2017 or 18, we flew her in again, and she had a emergency surgery, and her baby and her both lived. And then we've picked her up again for her third baby, and she ended up having that baby in the airplane. And both the mom and the baby lived and are doing amazing.
Their funding comes from USA, East Sepik Provincial Government, and the Provincial Health Authority, he further added.
And we serve 120 villages along the Sepik River, offering that access and hope. And we don't just drop the patients off when we get to Wewak. We have a whole team. We have Papua New Guinean staff as well as our U.S. staff that go in and visit those patients in the hospital. We bring them food if they need it. We bring them clothes. We also give them an audio Bible in the Tokpisin language.
Kirsten Palm, Mark's spouse, also highlighted that their operation in the East Sepik Province is also expanding to a new location.
Our staff families will have a little bit more space so we can bring more staff families over, and even people from different places in Papua New Guinea to come over and have a place to stay as well.
Estagane, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the Samaritan Aviation is now expanding to the Gulf Province through emergency evacuation and delivery of medical supplies to remote aid posts with community outreach and health programs.
Speaking exclusively with this newsroom, the co-founder and chief executive officer for Samaritan Aviation, Kirsten Palm, confirmed that the governor for Gulf Province, Chris Haiveta, has given a check worth 3 million kina to expand their services to the Gulf Province in December last year. With this expansion, their aviation service will reach another 700,000 people in the remote areas of Gulf Province.
And so we're excited to offer a second health patrol to the Gulf Province. We're designing a floating dock right now. Part of the agreement with the Gulf Province and the funding that they gave us was to build a dock so we can bring our airplanes in at the Kapuna Hospital and get them out of the water, and they can stay there, and we can bring families and have them based at Kapuna. And so that's the goal this year. We're doing several outreaches in Kapuna, and then the goal is for next year to start moving families down full-time.
He highlighted that the third aircraft has arrived in the country last December. This will expand community outreach and health programs throughout Gulf Province. The partnership with the Gulf Province aims at 3 things.
There's 3 really main things that we're doing with that. We're going to be building this docking system, and that's going to take shipping 2 40-foot containers over in the next few months full of supplies for that, bringing a team over to actually put it in as well. Another thing is they're helping us buy our 4th aircraft, helping half of the purchase of a new plane to bring over, as well as our operating costs. We have, it's always difficult when you bring staff in and you have tooling and fuel and infrastructure costs that you have to have. And so, and also building a house out in the Gulf province as well for our staff.
He also stressed that Samaritan Aviation has signed an agreement with Gulf Provincial Authority and Kikori District to reach Gulf Province the second time for medical outreach. Mr. Palm went on highlighting the Samaritan Aviation's goal in saving lives with the help of the PNG government and provincial health authorities.
You know, Samaritan Aviation, we feel like we're just getting started. The need is so great here in Papua New Guinea, and our focus and our niche, what we do well is seaplanes. And we've been doing that now for this our 14th year. We've flown thousands of flights. Thousands of people have been flown in. 150,000 kgs of medical supplies have been flown out to these little aid posts over the years.
Esther Gane, National EMTV News.